Hi gossipers, how are you? I hope you're well. Now let's get into this story cause the tea is boiling hot. Now our first story is carrying my boss's company. Yet somehow, I'm the one being coached. Posted by you/Samster4225. September 18, 2024. Joined a small tech R&D firm where the boss was an academic with no real business experience. He tried running the company based on books he read, not real-world knowledge. After laying off half the company, most people quit, leaving just me and the program manager. I've been running the whole technical side, but he still micromanages and critiques everything while contributing nothing. Now I'm looking for an exit. So, I joined this small tech R&D firm about 3 years ago. The boss is a former math major who started the company when he was in his mid-20s. Initially, he had a few early successes, winning a handful of awards totaling around 13 million in the first couple of years. When I joined, there were 13 people, and the place had this weird, cultish vibe. Everyone called him the leader. He was super into coaching everyone and was always giving guidance. Fine, whatever, I was skeptical, but it seemed like a good opportunity. During my final interview, he even had a human psych professor, his mentor, on the line to assess me. Weird? Yes. But okay. But as time went on, I realized the entire company was full of yes men who were enamored with this guy's wisdom. He was always reading business theory books, obsessed with writing, and basically thought academic skills mattered more than actual business skills. Every decision was based on something he read, not on intuition or experience. He wasn't a businessman. He was an academic who happened to start a business. Then, shortly after I joined, he made the lead engineer, who he had coached, into a proxy CEO while he took a back seat. Problem was, the lead engineer didn't want to lead, didn't know how to make decisions, and had to run everything by the boss anyway, who was basically AWOL. The boss was off trying to find investors, but couldn't close any deals because his negotiation skills were purely theoretical and not rooted in any real-world experience. Fast forward 2 years, and we're not winning any awards. Then one day, after a big demo, the boss lays off half the company, no warning, no heads up, because his advisor told him to just cut everyone loose. The next day, the boss took a 2-week vacation, leaving me, the lead engineer, and one senior programmer to do everything. Yep, seriously. We busted our asses and won a small award, but then the lead engineer quit. 8 years of loyalty and burnout, and when he told the boss he was leaving, the boss basically said, "Don't let the door hit you on the way out." A few months later, the senior programmer quit too. So now it's just me running the entire technical effort. There's one other person, a program manager, who deals with customers but mostly comes to me for help with anything resembling actual work. She's been with the company since day one and balances the boss's complete lack of people skills. Oh, and yeah, she's definitely mentioned to me that she thinks he might be on the spectrum. For the last 6 months, I've been doing everything. Seeking new business, working on current projects, trying to market and move our products, you name it, I'm doing it. Then a few weeks ago, my boss comes to me, all weepy, and says he can't assure the longevity of my job, so if I need stability, I should find something else. We talk a bit, and I say I'm still here working hard, but nothing changes in his attitude. He doesn't respect me or the two of us still here. He just keeps pushing and micromanaging. Yesterday, after a 2-hour working session, he tells me he wants to coach me. He says, "You have great ownership skills, great technical skills, great leadership skills, but you need to have better directability. I need to be able to tell you and direct you on what to do." I'm sitting there, nodding along, but in my head I'm like, seriously? There's no one left. I'm carrying this company. You aren't doing the work. Do you even know how to do the work? This guy has never worked for anyone. All his decisions come from stuff he's read, not from actual experience. Who are you to coach me when I've got 10 years of real-world grind experience? And then he goes off talking about the future success of the firm and how he needs more control of the two of us who haven't quit yet. Oh, and when the other engineers quit, the boss had an emergency meeting with me and the program manager to talk about the firm's future and vision. But it was all theoretical nonsense. He started yelling at us when we asked actual questions about concrete steps we could take. He just wanted to go on about our values, rather than actually build a plan. And don't even get me started on his non-stop requests for reports. He critiques every word, analyzing them to death. I'm like, dude, we could have a 2-minute conversation, and I'd answer all your questions, but nope, he needs written reports. Recently, he sent me a feedback document from one of our bids, and he's like, "Read this and explain it to me." Dude, it's not that complicated, just read it. Then, after I explained, he asked for more clarification and proof that I'm right. I've been here almost 3 years, doing everything, and he still doesn't trust me to understand a simple document? At this point, I'm just waiting out the interviews I'm in the later stages of, because I cannot deal with this anymore. Update. My boss flipped out after I quit, and now he's threatening consequences November 1, 2024. So, after grinding through endless micromanagement and carrying my entire department on my back, I finally accepted a new job offer. I sent my boss an email letting him know I'd be resigning, offering two options. I could finish my high priority writing project, the one he kept emphasizing, and leave by mid month, or I could stay until the end of the month to wrap up everything, including the technical project and all the admin/business stuff I'd been handling solo. My new job was starting on the 28th, so for the past week, I've been working both jobs, my new one 9 to 5 and the old one from 5 p.m. until midnight, or later. I documented everything down to the smallest detail so he'd have all he needed. I didn't feel like I needed to spell this schedule out to him since the company always operated on flexible hours. He replied saying he was disappointed but understood, so I thought we were good. But then he called and let me know just how disappointed he was. Apparently, I was supposed to seek his blessing before leaving. The irony? When he hired me, he didn't even want to give me 2 weeks to leave my last role. He expected me to start the Monday after sending the offer on a Thursday. From the day I submitted my resignation up until my last day, my boss was mostly AWOL. I kept sending him detailed update emails, asking if he needed anything else, checking in to make sure he'd be set for the transition. But he was nowhere to be found. You'd think he'd be the most engaged at this point. This is his company, and I'm literally the last technical employee left, apart from the program manager, who he actually instructed me not to inform of my departure. Until the day before I left, I practically had to chase him down to ensure he was getting everything he needed. For someone who's repeatedly insisted on control and micromanaged endlessly, he was oddly disengaged and unresponsive during the only time it really mattered. So, he schedules a handoff meeting for Thursday at 2 p.m., but I already have meetings for my new job. I suggest 4 p.m., and he gets upset, questioning why I'm still working if I've already quit. I clarify that I'm splitting my time for a smooth transition, and he absolutely loses it. I explain it was either this arrangement or leaving him high and dry, but he's still furious. Finally, at 4 p.m., he shows up for the meeting, his first involvement in any of the transition. He asks for a full walkthrough of everything. I had already put it all in writing, with flawless documentation, reports, and tutorials, but I run through it anyway. 4 hours, no breaks, every single question answered, everything demonstrated. When we wrap up, he goes, "We might still need some guidance on things." I start to say, "For what it's worth, I never meant to," but he cuts me off, saying he's seeking counsel on how to deal with this situation. Claims nobody's ever done this to him before, then vaguely threatens to figure out what he needs to report before storming off. Sure what counsel he's getting, but I'm hoping this is just an empty threat. I'm beyond frustrated. Despite everything, I really tried to leave on good terms. I busted my butt to get every last detail done, even working long hours after quitting to make sure everything was flawless for him. I kept things professional, communicated often, and documented every project and process. I was ready to put this behind me and tried to reach out for a genuine conversation at the end, maybe even find a bit of closure. But instead, he had to make things difficult, ignoring all my efforts until the last second, then dragging me through a grueling 4-hour session. When I tried to wrap it up amicably, he shut me down with a vague threat and stormed off. He made a tough ending even worse, and it's a huge relief to finally be done with it. Relevant comments commenter says, "I bet that once OP leaves and the business burns to the ground, that the boss will tell everyone his business failed because nobody wants to work anymore." OP responds, "Yeah, this is what my family is all saying. If I quit, the company's screwed." I think he would get a contractor to finish whatever work we do have and then go back to consulting. Commenter says, "Why not just kick out the owner and make it yours? You know the ins and outs and what is needed. Set up a new company, take the talent, leave the guy high and dry." OP responds, "Yes. Everything is an exercise. I'll write and rewrite reports, not for him to read but for me to really get an appreciation for what I'm doing." Commenter says, "OP should start his own business and become a direct competitor. Take all the useful employees, take all the customers." OP responds, "I want to. Money is the problem. And product. I can't just market myself. And I don't have the resources, money, product, idea, etc. to start anything right now." Small update on the comments. November 11, 2024. The following morning, my ex-boss emails me with the standard exit paperwork. In this, he included his version of the timeline of events since I resigned. An excerpt from some of the onboarding paperwork where I agreed not to disparage the company, work for a competing company, etc. He also said that I committed to provide ongoing support as needed for the next 12 months. Finally, he wanted all the home office stuff that I got when I started working, mismatched chair, desk, headphones, etc. back. I sent back a very direct and pointed email with my version of events, everything I did for him, and very firmly stated that I did not commit and will not support anything else. Haven't heard back from this. While I was coordinating dropping my home office stuff off with the PM, she offered and coordinated with the boss For me to just buy my equipment back for 500, actual value is close to $1,500. So I got to keep my stuff and my setup for a good price. Mailed the check, sent an email confirming the agreement. And I am done. 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 In response to the people who say I was simping too hard or shouldn't have worked so much, I own and take pride in my work. If I'm leaving, I'm not giving anyone an option to say the company failed because of me or something I did. Or worse, for my ex-boss to go to my new employer and throw me under the bus. B. Ethically, I have a responsibility to do the work I'm paid to do. I was still being paid, I had to do the work. C. There was a lot of weird paperwork I had to sign when I joined the company. I did more than I might have needed to just to cover my bases. Boss was crazy, and OP was way too kind. I'm glad he quit. But what are your thoughts? Share them in the comments below. The next story is, am I the asshole for telling my friend? Next time then. After I missed her wedding, posted by you/Darthril November 1, 2024. We are childhood friends. We have a brother-sister relationship. This gal married at age 23, for the first time. Her husband was a nice guy. Good looking, good character. They got a divorce 1.5 years after, because my dear friend wasn't feeling it anymore. After some time, she found someone else. No, she wasn't cheating. This guy is someone I approve of too. Sadly, I got sick and hospitalized. Just before the wedding and couldn't make it, so she and her husband visited me. We had some laughs and she said, I wish you were there with us too. I wanted to have my third dance with you. Context. First dance is for the groom, second for the father and third is for the brother if bride has any. To lighten the mood, note that I was under heavy medication. I blurted out. Don't worry. I won't miss the next one. After what I said, her husband was laughing on and she slapped me and left. A week has passed and she doesn't speak to me. Edit. I didn't think this post would blow up like that. I thank you for all comments and insights. Commenter says, OP should apologize to his friend if he thought the joke was terrible and might have hurt her feelings. OP responds, I will apologize. I got another epiphany while writing this. I know even though her husband found the joke funny, she might have taken it as I blame her for the first divorce, which I do not. Commenter says, you are dealing with an illness, in the hospital, and heavily medicated, so I'll give you a pass. And considering her first divorce is because she wasn't feeling it, well, it's not unreasonable to think she might divorce for petty reasons. Still, apologize to her, tell her it was the meds talking, and that you hope she and husband number 2 have a long happy marriage. Not the asshole. OP responds, I will. One note, she was very civil about her first divorce and they separated amicably. It was more like, you're an awesome guy but we are not compatible, kind of not feeling it. Commenter says, not the asshole, it was funny. She slapped you. That is not okay, everyone is kinda glossing over that. I would count that friendship over if it was me. No matter how insulted you may feel, hitting someone is wrong. You were heavily medicated and recovering. She should be thankful you, or the hospital don't press charges. Taking into account the staff didn't see what happened and report it. OP responds, even if they report it, I wouldn't press the issue. I am not a pushover by any means, but we have 20 years of history. Our relationship was akin to siblings, so a slap is nothing to me. Commenter says, not the asshole. It's possible she is ignoring you because she's embarrassed about slapping you. Have you had any contact at all? Through her husband or family? I'm not making an excuse for her slapping you, just stating a possibility. OP responds, I asked around today. Her husband and she went abroad for honeymoon. Her family laughed what happened and assured me she will get over it. Her mom said we are too close to remain angry at each other, but I may have to wait for her to contact me. Update. November 4, 2024. 3 days later. My friend contacted me and invited me for drinks. They were back from their honeymoon, and we went to a pub we frequent for another round of celebration since I missed pretty much everything. We both apologized to each other. Me for the joke and her for slapping me. I asked about the silence. They told me it was a combination of both being abroad for honeymoon and feeling awkward after the slap. She admitted found it funny after she cooled down. Her husband found the joke hilarious apparently, but he made me promise to pay the alimony if they get divorced, so now I have motivation to make this marriage last as long as it can. Aside from that, everything is cool. We got to have the dance I missed too. Relevant comments. Commenter says, it's disturbing that her slapping you is brushed under the rug as an equal offense to your words. She should be profusely apologetic about hitting you over a comment she didn't like. Glad she thinks it's funny now, but you're way more forgiving than I would be. OP responds, don't worry. She was extremely apologetic about that, plus when you have 20 years of history, a slap is very easy to forgive. Commenter says, you and your friends are totally the assholes for being reasonable people and depriving us of weeks of ever escalating dramatic twists and turns in the saga of nutcases by communicating like actual adults. What is this world coming to? What is this sub coming to? I'm glad you guys patched it up. Best of wishes to all of you. OP responds, I apologize for depriving you of drama. Thanks for the best wishes. I'm happy OP and his friend are okay now. She shouldn't have slapped him. Yes, but she asked for forgiveness. What do you say about this history? Tell me in the comments. Our final story is my best friend from college ghosted me for 7 years. Now she's back in my life as if nothing happened, as if she never ghosted me. What are your thoughts? Posted by you slash grateful to be here. October 26, 2024. My friend from college, we were best friends and inseparable. We had so many great memories, could talk about anything, did pretty much everything together. It was mutual on both ends. We never fought, and I was under the impression everything was good. I think that's why it came as such a huge shock. After we graduated, she just stopped answering my calls, texts, messages on Facebook. She would just heart it and not reply. I was crushed. I had sent her a message on Facebook and asked if I had done anything or said anything wrong, and if I did. Definitely not intentional, because I've always cared for her. No response. It went like this for 7 years. It honestly broke my heart. I kept replaying everything in my head to try to see if there was anything, something could have been misunderstood. Did I say something unknowingly? I was heartbroken, felt abandoned, and the worst part was not knowing or being given an answer. 7 years. One of our mutual friends, who she was still in touch with, gave me her new number. So I reached out and said, hey, just wanted you to know you've been missed. If I said or did anything unknowingly, I'm sorry. She said, oh, you know how technology is. So many people have said they have tried to reach me, but I wasn't getting any of the messages. Yet, she was hearting them. Now, for the past few months, she's been going about as if this never happened and has been buddy-buddy. I'm happy she's back in my life, but I'm starting to realize, like, no, this was not cool. You don't just walk out of someone's life for 7 years, chalk it up to technology, and then act like we're all good. It's hard because I love her and want to be friends, but I'm like, is she just going to walk out again for 7 years with no explanation and some bogus excuse? I'm still hurt because I don't feel like I've gotten a real answer. Hey, she was still in touch with our mutual friends for all those years. A few of them ended up having a fallout with her in the past year. And then she needed me and started writing back because she didn't have her other friends. I'm starting to realize that maybe that's not a real friend. I thought about just being like, look, technology was working just fine when you were talking slash hanging out with our other friends. Like, spill, what's the real reason you stopped talking to me? Because you know what that shit hurt. What are your thoughts on this? Could use some solid advice. Should I just block her and move on with my life? I don't know what to do. Relevant comments. Vega Solo says, personally, I would confront her, and after she answered, I would tell her that I didn't want to be friends anymore. OP responds, right? Because I'm genuinely pretty hurt. I'm like, you ghost me for 7 years with no explanation. And when I tried to communicate to see if I unknowingly did something, she just wouldn't reply. And all these years later, she's all buddy-buddy and acting like it never happened and it's been all good this whole time. Her excuse doesn't sit well with me. It's like, look, just be real because right now, it feels like I'm not appreciated or valued to just drop me like that and then pick me up again after she had a fallout with a few of our other friends. OP added this. Thanks for this response. What hurt the most was that she was actively engaging slash hanging out with our other friends. She wasn't even that close to before she even flew out to see them. So it hurt that I felt singled out when I honestly can't think of what I could have done to just be cut out. Like no response, nothing until she had no one else anymore. Update. October 28, 2024. A few days ago, I posted about how my college best friend ghosted me for 8 years. The answer didn't sit well with me, but I was honestly happy to finally get a response after 8 years. We've been catching up for the past few months, but if I'm honest, the answer seemed like BS. So, some fellow Redditors on comments recommended just cutting her off, and some said to confront her straight on. So, I confronted her, and she said the truth was one of our mutual friends was in her ear feeding her lies slash gossip about me, and after 8 years she realized that that girl wasn't a true friend, and that everything she said about people was a lie, and that she wasn't a good person. I'm not sure how to respond. A part of me is like, we were best friends, you know me, my heart, and you believe a friend. Ghost me, with no explanation, no response for 8 years over a lie? I guess, I just wish she would have been open to hearing my side. As best friends, had it been the other way around, I would have been like, hey, this was said, and I just wanted to run it by you. She didn't even care to hear my side, and found out 8 years too late that none of it was true. Because that friend, starting doing that to her too. A part of me is heartbroken that a lie took away 8 years of friendship. Another part of me is like, dude, not even a response, or even trying to hear my side? Is she going to do this again? I already have gone through abandonment with my dad, as she knows, and going through this when it's hard to let people in. I trusted her. Let her in and it honestly crushed me. Being ignored and not knowing why hurts. I'm not sure what to do. Do I cut her off? I'm not sure if it'll ever be the same. I'm just appalled that she dropped me over BS gossip, without even hearing my side. 8 years has gone by and I'm just... What would you do? And if anyone has gone through something similar, would love to hear. Relevant comments. Lovely Danny 20 says. Something kinda like this happened to me. We were best friends from childhood through our early-ish 20s. She cut me off for 4 years, right when I got married. When she started contacting me again, she claimed she had ghosted me because of her bad mental health. Except she didn't really consider my mental health. She was supposed to be a bridesmaid and instead she ghosted. She also never even reached out when I had my first child. When she tried to rekindle things, I listened to her whole story and didn't interrupt. She said she realized I was one of the best friends she had and blah blah blah. But at the end I said, I can't be friends with anyone who would betray me like that. And that was it. I've never spoken to her or really thought about her since. OP responds and quotes, that part, she didn't consider your mental health. That hit. It took a mental toll on me for years, just not knowing. Replaying our last interactions, I fell into depression for a bit, and felt so hurt/betrayed/abandoned with not even explanation, for 8 years. FGN 15 says, in your shoes you can choose the level of your relationship. You don't have to jump straight back to besties. You can be acquaintances first. She doesn't have a right to your time or friendship, and honestly has a boatload of work to do to demonstrate a change of heart. If you discover that she's put in the work to make real changes in herself, I think that might be a green light to slowly proceed beyond acquaintances. But honestly, having had a dear friend ghost me in a similar way, and having fewer fucks to give, I hope her life is good but stay away from me. I don't need that kind of friendship. OP responds, I kinda feel like she came back because she has no more friends. She's dropped some and some have dropped her recently. Everything is stupid says. I wouldn't be able to trust someone after they did that. You deserve better. OP responds with her final resolution. I agree, thank you all for your input. I ended up telling her I didn't want to move forwarding being friends, then blocked her. Oh, that's no best friend to have. You are better off without her. And what about you guys? Would you be able to reconnect and forgive? That's all for today's video. If you love to hear Reddit stories, please don't forget to subscribe and click the like button below. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for listening. See you next time on Spilling the Tea. Bye bye.